Hi, how you doing? Welcome back to another segment of Coffee and Connections with the Chief. I'm Chief of Police Dean Rondo, and to my left is the Executive Officer, Captain Mark Livy. And so welcome to another beautiful summer day here in Wolfeboro. So we're into the month of August now, and everything is going very well here. Just a few things that I want to mention. We're into probably the busiest stretch of the summer. 4th of July was last month. It's over. But the never-ending trail of vehicles and vacationers and guests are pouring into Wolfeboro. The streets are getting jam-packed. The road construction on Center Street is now moved off of the main road on 28 and is now on the side streets. So given the fact that we have traffic congestion normally on a good summer, and coupled with the roadside construction on the side roads off of 28, you just need to leave a little bit extra time if you're getting to your destination. I would say 15 minutes probably ought to do it for you. As a reminder to all our businesses, visitors, guests, and especially our delivery personnel, double parking is allowed on the lake side of North Main Street. Again, the lake side of North Main Street, not the north or the west side of North Main Street. So the lakeside, you can double park and you can do your offloading. The opposite lane of travel, the west side, you may not do so. And the reason I think is pretty self-explanatory. The lakeside lane is larger to accommodate two vehicles. The west side lane is not. So when we have multiple trucks double parking to deliver goods and services to the businesses in the busy commercial district of Wolfeboro, it blocks and congests traffic even further. So if you could let your delivery personnel know, and if you're a delivery man, if you're watching this, please park on the double park on the lake side and not the west side of North Main Street, and that will be good. Beyond that, just a couple of things I want to mention. In August, as we start getting into the cooler weeks of the summer and then into early fall, we're prone to get some pretty serious thunderstorms and threatening skies. So again, be mindful about the weather. If you're out on the lake, what I need you to do is just keep an eye on the weather. These thunderstorms can pop up at a moment's notice. So the last place you want to be is on Lake Winnipesaukee in the middle of a lightning storm. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Channel 16, if you have a weather channel on your marine radio, or if you have a weather radio, Channel 16 is your marine channel for distress, and then channels 1 through 6 on your weather channel or your marine radio will give you the weather for Lake Winnipesaukee. So if you just want to listen to one of those 4 channels, you'll have all the information that you need. Lastly, I just want you to enjoy the summer, be safe. If you have any questions, I want you to contact me or the captain, Captain Mark Livy at the Wolfeboro Police Department. If we're doing something right, that's fantastic. I need to know what it is so we can keep doing it. And if we're doing something wrong, or if you have a complaint, I need to know so I can fix it. I can't fix things if I don't know what's broken. So please, I encourage you, if you have any issues or concerns, please just call the Wolfeboro Police Department, ask to speak to myself or the Executive Officer, Captain Mark Livy. And my number is 569-8172. Again, 569-8172. That's my direct line. Rings right on my desk. And the captain's number is 569-8173. Again, 569-8173. You won't have to go through dispatch. You can call us and just let us know how we're doing. So now I'm going to turn it over to the captain for a brief review of our operational activity. Captain?
Thanks, Chief. So a few things going on. If everyone hasn't known or if it's not out there yet, Sergeant Moore, Scott Moore, has retired with the Wolfeboro Police Department after 25 years of service. So I just want to congratulate him. I know the Chief will too after this, but it's been great working with him. I've worked with him now for almost 16 years and learned a lot from him throughout those years. So I just want to congratulate him on his retirement. And the best wishes to him and his family as they move on to the next endeavor that moves whatever he does in his next career. So other things that are going on, we still have the highway safety grants that you will see our patrols out there in August. Distracted driving, there'll be a few steps out there, DWIs. So the officers will be out on patrol. and stopping cars. So other things that have been going on in the department, there hasn't been many changes in dispatch. The same stuff. Jordan Pello is, as I mentioned last month, is doing a great job as a part-time. She's our newest part-time dispatcher. So she's fitting in very well with everybody else that's going on there. With the officers, we're going to be moving on to hiring a new position in there as we come on probably sometime in October. So we'll get you more information on that when that comes out. Other than that, I think July 4th went very well. The fireworks and the parade, the operations went well. As far as we know, there's been no major complaints, so everything's been going well. And the only other thing I'll probably comment on is that I've heard through Facebook, through social media, is the crosswalks and the jaywalkers and the pedestrians out in the downtown area. So our officers are out there. This year has been very busy to us. Our incidents and our stats have from last year is, what do you say, probably maybe 30, 40 more incidents than last year. They're taking more reports. So we're up. So we do have those MBTs in the computers, in the cruisers, which are working well. So the advantage of that, you will see officers doing work on the side, but they'll be out in neighborhoods, out on the streets, then sitting inside trying to catch up on their reports. So that's a learning process right now, is learning those MBTs, which are those mobile data units in the computers in the cruisers. So other than that, I'll pass it back to the chief.
Hey, thank you, Captain. Yeah, that's a really good point that the captain made, and I just want to emphasize that a little bit here. So about a year ago, we applied for a grant, and it was approved by the federal government, and we received mobile data terminals for our cruises, for 8 of our cruises, 8 out of the 11 cruises that we have, and hopefully we get another 3 this coming year, fiscal year 19, that will equip all of our cruisers with the mobile data terminals and the e-ticket system. And so real quick, that's an important pivot, if you will, on technology, because it allows the officers and it gets the officers out of the station onto the road more, where they can sit and run radar or be in the communities or be in a neighborhood that's experiencing a problem, and they can get caught up on their paperwork, and they can receive digital and voice transmissions over that system much faster than they could with the traditional voice communication from dispatch, number one, and number two, it creates efficiencies, and it allows the officers to be in the community more often. So when you see an officer by the side of the road, and it looks as though he's leaning over, maybe doing something, most likely he's typing on that mobile data terminal, which is like a mini computer that's inside the cruiser, and he's typing in reports or getting caught up on a call or entering in information in a digital format back to dispatch. It ties back into our computer systems at the station and allows myself or the captain or one of the sergeants or even dispatch to at a click of a button to be able to bring up what the officer is doing and to look at the information that the officer is inputting. So again, it creates efficiencies. Is very, very important. The second reason we did this is really becoming state-of-the-art throughout New Hampshire, and pretty soon all of the police departments are going to be mandated to go to this system within the next few years. And you'll hear words like the J1 system and FirstNet or OneNet. These are all communications and internet-based systems that are coming online throughout the entire state, and it's really going to connect all of the police departments and all the dispatch centers with the state police, with the FBI, with the National Crime Center, and any officer then will have the ability to tie into any one of these systems or to check a dispatch system in, say, Stratford County or in Coos County to get information. It's a way of information sharing. It also allows the court system to be able to pull in information directly from a motor vehicle stop or from an officer or from a database to create efficiencies in the court system as well. So this is a state-of-the-art communication system. It is really all-encompassing. And we're in the infancy of it right now, but it is happening, and it's going to continue to happen for the next 4 or 5 years as we continue to modernize and improve. So we're really excited about this. But if you see an officer by the side of the road and he looks like he's leaned over, no, he's not. He's not typing on his cell phone. He's typing into the computer and ask. And if you want to go up and ask to take a look at the system, and it's quite sophisticated, and it really is a plus for us, and we're very grateful to the federal government for giving us the funds to go ahead and purchase that equipment. Well, also, while we're on this topic of thanking folks, we had a very, very successful open house on the 30th of June. We had approximately 250 visitors to the public safety building. There were demonstrations from the Wolfeboro Fire Rescue Department, K-9 demonstrations from our K-9 teams, and people got to walk around the police department and the equipment and take a look at everything that we have to offer. And we're very, very happy to do that. It is one of our events. We really look forward to doing that every year. It's a great opportunity to mingle with your police officers, your fire rescue personnel, your EMS personnel, and your elected officials who often come down for that. It's usually the first Saturday before the 4th of July, so if you want to check your calendar, I don't know what date that is off the top of my head right now, but it'll probably be somewhere around the 29th or 30th of June of next year, perhaps even 1 July of next year, but again, the first Saturday before the 4th of July. Next year, I believe the 4th of July is on a Thursday. And while I'm on this topic, I do want to thank all of our very generous benefactors who donated food for that open house. And I want to start off with our favorite partner, Mill Street Meat Market. They're very, very generous to the Wolfeboro Police Department, and we really appreciate that. And they gave very generously quite a 4 or 5 pounds of chicken wings, which were very, very tasty, and so we're very grateful for that. But also Hunter's IGA and Garwood's, who donated hot dogs and hamburgers and buns and chips and condiments. We're very grateful for that donation. We received a donation from Harvest Market in Wolfeboro. We received a donation from Hannaford's Market in Alton, and we received a very generous donation from Market Basket down in Rochester, along with a very, very delicious ice cream for dessert from Bailey's Bubble. So, folks, listen, I know you have a choice when you go food shopping and when you're out there, and I just want you to remember our local vendors. I think that's very important, and feel free to thank them for the free food and the donations that they made. We wouldn't be able to put on that open house and feed the public if we didn't have those donations. And I do know you have a choice, so please keep them in mind when you're out shopping. And having said that, I think that's really all I've got at this point. I want to echo what the captain said. We had a very successful 4th of July in spite of the oppressive, overwhelming heat. We had very, very few calls for service. I think we were able to get the traffic moved along in a timely fashion. We had no significant issues or problems. And we're looking forward to doing it all again next year. So, again, thank you very much for tuning in to Coffee and Connections with the Chief. Again, I'm Chief Dean Rondo with the Wolfeboro Police Department. On behalf of myself and Captain Mark Livy to my left, I want to thank you for watching. Have a great day. Hey, how are you? Welcome back to Coffee and Connections with the Chief. I'm Chief Dean Rondo with the Wolfeboro Police Department. I have two very good friends that I just made. I have Olivia on my right and I have Ben on my left. They're from Massachusetts. They have a few questions they want to ask me as the Chief of Police. So I'm going to first give the mic to Olivia. Olivia, here you go. What's your first question?
How long have you been chief, and how long have you been a police officer?
Those are two very, very good questions. So, I don't know. Let me see. How long have I been the chief? What time is it? I've only been the chief for about 18 months, about a year and a half. I took over after Chief Chase retired. I was the executive officer. I was the captain of the police department. And so that's the answer to your first question. About a year and a half now. And I've been a police officer, full-time police officer in the state of New Hampshire for 23 years. But before that, before I was a police officer, I was a Army officer on active duty. And I was originally I was an infantry officer, and then I went over to military intelligence, and I was a counterintelligence officer. So it's kind of like being a police officer. I was kind of like a police officer when I was in the military. Counterintelligence officers are special agents with military intelligence, and we went after very, very bad people, spies and saboteurs and people that really wanted to harm good folks like you and your parents and attack American interests. So that's what I did when I was on active duty. I actually retired from the Army as a full colonel a few years ago. And so that's my background. Do you have another question you want to ask?
What are what do you do for communications?
That's an excellent question. So Olivia's question was, essentially talk about the communications footprint and status within the Wolfeboro Police Department. So we actually have redundant systems of communication. So at my headquarters, my police headquarters, we have a central dispatch center that is manned 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year by men and women that belong to the Wolfeboro Police Department. That's called Wolfeboro Central Dispatch. And we have multiple AM and FM communications and multiple radio systems that we use to communicate. But if you were to walk into the Wolfeboro Police Department and you would walk into our dispatch center, what you would see is everything is controlled by computer banks. And all of the information is done at the touch of a screen. So we're pretty modern like that, which is really, really good. I mean, keeping up with technology is very important. The thing that we're doing now is we're connecting all of the police officers on the road with our dispatch center through wireless computers called MDTs, mobile data terminals. So all of my officers have the capability to not only digitally transmit messages and texts and reports to dispatch, but they can also do voice communication as well over the internet, over the Wi-Fi. It's pretty cool, huh? Yeah, we're really, really happy to have that technology. We got that technology about a year ago, and it's all tied into this bigger communications infrastructure called FirstNet, which is part of what we call the J1 system of communications. So it's going to eventually tie the state with the federal government and our court system with every police officer on the road. So we're really excited about that technology. Sounds like you got to be pretty smart to be a police officer, doesn't it? Yeah. So you definitely want to if you want to be a police officer, you definitely got to go to college. Ben, do you have some questions? Sure, here you go.
Why did you want to become a police officer?
That is a great question. That's a fantastic question. That was actually one of my oral board questions 23 years ago. So I think at the end of the day, it really comes down to, Ben, rules and regulations are really important to me. And I think that rules and regulations have to be enforced. They have to be upheld, because if we don't have rules and regulations being upheld, we have what is called chaos, and we have anarchy, and we can't have that in a civilized, organized society. We can't have that, because it would be bad. People would get hurt. People would get harmed. And so that was the first reason. The second reason is that I really like to try and help people. And I think being a police officer, I get that opportunity to help people and to assist people in need. And that was very, very important to me. Does that make sense? Excellent. Do you have another question? Did you want to know about the police academy?
Oh, yes.
So the police academy, that's a great question. I get that question asked a lot. The police academy in the state of New Hampshire is actually a paramilitary academy. So what does that mean? That means it's an awful lot like basic training in the Army, right? And it's 16 weeks. You live at the police academy for that 16 weeks. And you have to do a lot of physical training, a lot of physical activity. There's a lot of academic work. In fact, when you go to the police academy and graduate, you come out with an associate's degree in criminal justice. through the university system. So it's a very, very good program, but it's long. It's 12 to 14 hours a day. It's every day. Again, you're living there. And it's very, very physical. It's very demanding, so you have to be in very good shape to go there. And you have to have paid attention in school, right, because it is academically challenging. I found it academically challenging, especially the parts about constitutional law and understanding the rights of citizens and so forth is very, very important. And that's the part that I found most challenging because it can be complex and it can be hard to understand. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, great. Kids, I want to thank you for being my guests on Coffee and Connections with the Chief. Is there anything else that you want to say? Not really? No? Ben?
My dad's a police officer.
Your dad's a police officer? That's pretty cool. Where's he a police officer?
Brookline, Massachusetts.
Brookline, Massachusetts. I know it well. I'm originally from Cambridge, Massachusetts. So that's where I grew up as a young boy. Long time ago. Do I look old? No, that's right. No, not at all. Hey, thanks, kids, for being on the show. I really appreciate it. You have a great vacation up here, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Thank you. Hey, how you doing? Welcome back to Coffee and Connections with the Chief. I'm Chief of Police Dean Rondo, and I just wanted to pass on a couple of safety tips this month for the month of August. First one is my favorite pastime and avocation is boating. So on boating safety, I'm going to focus on the weather. I really want you folks to keep an eye on the weather. August and September time frame can be a time of serious, dangerous storms that pop up here on Lake Winnipesaukee, and even on a bright sunny day, it's not uncommon to have lightning storms arrive at a moment's notice. So please keep your eye on the weather. Make sure you're tuned into one of the applicable weather channels, and you have a forecast, and you're paying attention to the weather throughout the course of the day. Also, Marine Channel 16 on your VHF radio, your marine radio, oftentimes will broadcast weather warnings and weather alerts for you if you're out on the lake. So again, make sure if you're out there, put on your radio and just pay attention to what's going on out there. So that's number one. Number two is speeding in the busy summer months. Look, we've got a sustained population here in Wolfeboro throughout the summer months of anywhere between 16,000 and 25,000 folks. There's a lot of people on the road, and I know everybody's in a hurry to get to where they're going. I understand it. Your time is limited. We live in a very fast-paced society, and I understand that. But what I want you to do is to have a very safe and enjoyable holiday season, very safe and enjoyable vacation. Be mindful of your speeds. We laid the roads out here, folks, the way the cows walk through the paths. They're not very straight. They're very tortuous and very winding. So speed limits change very quickly. So one moment you're in a 40, next minute you're in a 30 or a 35. So you could find yourself in over your head if you're going just a little too fast and you're coming out of a 40 and into a 30 or a 35. So again, I just want you to be mindful of the speeds, slow down, you'll get there safely. And I can really do the mathematics for you and prove to you that even going 10 or 15 miles an hour over the posted speed limit is not going to get you to your destination any faster than if you drove the speed limit. It just isn't going to do it, folks. The amount of time that you save is infinitesimal, and you want to get there safely. If you get into a crash along the way, now you're not doing anybody any good, and you're tying up very valuable police and fire rescue resources. So again, please, keep your eye on the speed, do the speed limits, they're there for your safety, and also be mindful of my patrol officers that are out on the road. If they're out doing a motor vehicle stop, give them a wide berth or slow down when you're passing them. You never know when they're going to take a step back from a motor vehicle, and you don't want to get into a vehicle and pedestrian crash. Folks, thank you very much for tuning in to Coffee and Connections with Chief. I'm Chief Dean Rondo for the Wolfeboro Police Department. Thank you very much for watching.